Welcome to Highland Waves, a podcast originating from Marshbrook Studios, located on a bank of the world-renowned Margaree River in Cape Breton, Nova Scotia, Canada. Highland Waves feature stories about the people, the places, and those who come to visit us here in Inverness County. I'm Pat Wall, your host. Joining me in the studio this morning is Inverness County resident and well-known music teacher and piano performer, Lawrence Cameron. Welcome to Highland Waves, Lawrence.
Oh, thank you very much.
Lawrence has graciously agreed to musically open and close our podcast session this morning. Here he is with the first movement from Suite 5 by Bach. Take it away, Lawrence. Thank you, Lawrence. That was wonderful. You were introduced to music early in life?
Oh, yeah. Come from a musical family from both sides.
Okay.
My mother was a Rankin from Mabu.
Okay.
Being an aunt to the Rankin family.
The Rankin family,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah. And my father's family, there's a lot of singers and dancers and even a couple of fiddlers.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Were your parents musicians themselves?
My mother was. She played with fiddlers at dances and concerts and that sort of thing for years and years and years.
Okay.
Yeah, she played with Archie Neal for the longest
Oh,
time.
really?
Yeah,
Okay.
the Fireman's Club in Margaree Forks there
Okay.
for about 30 years.
Okay. Just for our listeners, Archie Neal Chisholm was one of the leading fiddlers in this country back about 30 years ago. What are your earliest memories of piano?
I remember sitting on the piano bench with my mother and then having cousins coming over and they'd be playing or singing or dancing or something like that. And that would be the earliest ones there.
Yeah.
And just wondering, how do they do that?
Wonderful atmosphere, though.
Yes, that's exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you play other instruments beyond piano?
Well, no. I had to learn other instruments when I became a teacher, and so that was fine, and I could start the students off with an instrument. But once they caught on, I said, "You're on your own."
You're on your own. Besides your parents, did you have other musical influencers in your early life?
Well, like I said, my cousins and that, and then Archie Neal Chisholm was and his family, like his nephew there, Cameron Chisholm,
Okay.
Maybelle. That we saw them quite a bit, heard them quite a bit. I remember the McClellan family from West Margaree, Randy McClellan, and his father's name was John Elliott McClellan, and I used to see them at concerts quite a bit. And used to play with them. Yep.
Okay. At what age did you play solo in front of a large audience?
In front of a large audience? Well, there were lots of community concerts at the time, and I think I was about 9 when I when I played at my first one. I was at a St. Patrick's concert in Northeast Margaree.
Okay.
Yeah.
How did it go?
I think it went well. I can't really remember. I think I know what I played, but I can't remember really how it went well. But I remember saying to my parents before I went, what if they want more? Because I only knew 2 tunes. They said, well, just play them again, they said.
Okay, that's good. You were born in Cape Breton, obviously.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was... I grew up in Margaree Forks. I was born at the Shetty Camp Hospital.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And your early childhood education was here as well.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I went to Margaree Forks. Yeah.
Was there a particular moment or event that made you realize that music was going to be part of your lifelong path?
That's quite a question, actually. I think I just took it for granted that I think music was going to be part of my life.
Okay.
Because that's what I did, you know.
Yes.
And so there was a short while when I was a teenager and I was going, do I really, really, really want to do that? But actually I went through my first year of university in art studying history. But then I was walking by the music building on my way back to my dormitory and I was going, I think I made a mistake. Okay. And the next year I went...
You went back?
I went to music, yeah.
Okay.
I went into music, yeah.
Okay. You picked Acadia University for your music education. Was there a particular reason for Acadia?
Well, I kind of left out a name here, Bryden McDonald. He was...
I've heard the name already.
Yeah, he was our music teacher at Margaree Forks. And for the last 2 years of my high school, he was my piano teacher. My first piano teacher was a priest in West Margaree, Father Hugh A. MacDonald, but he was only there. I only got lessons for about a year from him, and then I was on my own so from about the age of 10 till I was 16 or so. I didn't have any lessons, but I was still playing. Okay. But anyway, now you asked the question. He really helped me get into Acadia because he went there himself.
Oh, okay.
And he prepared me, technically as well as musically.
Excuse me. I know a lot of musicians who have gone to Mount Allison.
Yeah.
That seemed to be the artistic.
That was my number place. 2, actually. Yeah. Because they have a very, very good school there as well.
Yeah.
But Acadia was within the province.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
When you left Acadia, did you begin to perform and teach music immediately after that?
I taught at a private music school in Halifax there for music stop, and I was teaching there, and I was performing as well. But mostly, I was doing a lot of accompanying for classical musicians, especially during Kiwanis Festival and that sort of thing. But there's a big Cape Breton community there at the time, and I played at quite a few dances and concerts and that sort of thing for them as well.
How has your music evolved over the years?
I think evolving. I think basically, as a musician, you like to think you keep learning. You never come to a point where you say, I've done it. I'm there now. I don't have to learn anymore. But music is always changing, and so is even like music that's classical, like 200 or 300 years old. There's always new ways to perform it, and so I think it's evolving. It means you keep learning, and I think that's what I think. How I evolve.
How you've done it.
Yeah.
Okay. How do you prepare for a major performance, both technically and mentally?
Major performances, there's a lot of practice. Like the first major performance I ever had to do was my final recital at Acadia, and so that was about a year's worth of practice there. Well, a school year. I had to select pieces and then I had to memorize them, and so that meant practicing 6 or 8 hours a day, most days, and that was. So ever since then, if somebody tells me, well, you got to do this piece, you got to do this concert or something like that, I start really early. I do have some pieces under my belt, but I don't have a whole concert under my belt.
Okay.
Let's say we want you to do an hour and a half concert. Oh, no. I can do 1 or 2 pieces, but that's about it.
Okay.
Know? Yeah.
Do you get nervous before or during a performance?
Just before. Okay. Not really long before, but just before. And then if I stop to think about what I'm doing, yeah, I'll get nervous, but I just get in the moment, I guess.
Okay.
I don't know if that means
Starts
anything.
The flow?
Yeah, it's like if I do mess up or something like that, it's because my mind went off somewhere else instead of the task at hand.
Okay.
But you could say that about anything, you know.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
How do you prepare? You obviously practice.
Mm-hmm.
How does your practice routine differ now than when you started?
Oh, you're asking pretty hard questions here. Well, when I was, I think it depends. For me, I'm a bit of a sight reader. Actually, I am a sight reader. But sight reading means you put the music down in front and you play it, you know. And so for me, that served me well when I was doing accompanying, because lots of times you didn't get much chance to learn the music. They gave you the music, here, I'm going to do this, and you have to play. So for myself, it's a bit of a block because I like to sight read,
yes,
you know, but so memorization is the thing. And so for me, ever since my college days, it's sitting there going through something over and over and over and over again until it gets into my head. And so it really hasn't changed over the years, okay, you know.
How do you keep motivated during these long practice sessions?
Yeah, that's a challenge, because after a while you say, oh, I'm getting so tired of this part of the piece or something like that. But all you have to do is step away, maybe put the piece away for a day or two, and then come back, and it's like it's fresh, and it's like, yeah, I actually did learn something. So like knowing when you have to kind of put something away and then bring it back later on and then go through it, and that always works for me to keep me going on a piece.
Are there specific exercises or techniques that you include in your practice to prevent injury or strain on your hands or any of that sort of thing?
I wish I could say I was really good at practicing my scales and all that sort of thing, because I did that for students and all that. The only time I practiced my scales or whatever, my technique, was when I was teaching students. I've only one student now, and I'm gradually retiring from that. But anyway, so yes, when I was in college, that was part of my practice. I had to do it. Nowadays, if I come to a piece where there's a certain technique that has to be done, then I'll practice that technique. But nowadays, I find my technique comes from my playing, or my sight reading even. Yeah.
How has technology changed the way you perform, or for that matter, teach?
Oh my. That's a big area, because when I first started teaching, it was all books, and frequently out of tune acoustic pianos. uh, like the real big pianos. You
pianos.
know, they're frequently out of tune. Uh, so, but then we started getting into keyboards, digital keyboards, and now lots of times I could like just take my phone out and record a piece for a student and send it to them, or send them the music that they need, and so they. But I couldn't do that back then. I'd have to buy a book and give it to them or something like that, and then we'd have to figure it out on our own or something like that. And he'd have to go find a recording. It's a huge area. That's a huge question about how things have changed. Yeah.
Before we go on, I always hear people say he's a great piano player, and I hear them say he's a great keyboard player.
Yeah.
What is the difference?
Well, to me, to people, I suppose, that are maybe not musicians, keyboard or piano are rather interchangeable. For me, keyboard means any instrument with a keyboard. It could be piano, it could be organ, it could be accordion. But so I do play the organ. I wouldn't call myself an organist. I wouldn't want to insult all those true organists out there. But I played because I had to, like lots of times playing in a church or whatever. Okay. Yeah.
What is the greatest joy you get from teaching music?
Oh, seeing them like take it on after I finish with them. Like I see students that are, to me, that's the biggest thing that I've ever seen, is when, to me, the biggest feeling is when I see them going into music or something music related after I finish teaching them, and that's like their
it's a feeling of accomplishment.
Yes, exactly. There we go.
Okay. Yeah. With a lifetime of experience, what does music mean to you personally?
Music to me, it's a life. It's it's always changing, which means it's growing. It's almost like a being. Okay. When I hear certain music, I can maybe say, wow, that's interesting. That's really, because it's something new that I haven't heard before. Whereas there's lots of other music, which is the bigger portion of music we hear today, where oh yeah, okay, that's nice. I guess it's good for background, whatever, but I'm not going to learn anything from that music. So so the life comes from learning. I hope I'm making sense here. And if there was no life in the music, then you wouldn't learn anything from it. Okay.
Yeah. Has it helped you through tough times?
Oh gosh, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember even being physically ill, and I would go up to the piano and play, just to take my mind off, let's say, a headache that I have or whatever. Even just to forget something that's going on around me right now. I'm getting home from a tough day at school, and just sit at the piano and just play.
In what ways do you think music education impacts society?
You have so many people out there that went through music in school and don't realize how it has affected them. Music means it's a lot like athletics, where people have to work together. Let's say if you're singing in just a classroom together, you're singing with your peers, and you're singing the same thing. You're trying to sing at the same time, the same tune, just trying to get something out there. And it's so that goes a long way to helping people work together. I mean, we're making a nice product here when we sing together like this.
Okay.
So,
what advice would you give to musicians, pianists just starting out?
Keep at it. I'm like many other music teachers. There are a lot of students I had that ended up quitting, as they say. And then they come back to me years later. I should have kept going. I should have. It's like, I just love music. I just should have kept playing. So it's if you love it, yeah, keep at it. It's just there's a story once. The world famous classical pianist, I'm not sure if anybody else heard beside me, his name is Vladimir Ashkenazy, and he was being interviewed on the radio one day. And he was a child prodigy. He gave his first big concert when he was 9 years old. And it was with an orchestra and all that sort of thing. And so he made his life music, of course. He'd be playing piano. And the interviewer asked him, listen, what about all this other, guys who are out there and we're just struggling away on our instrument and that sort of thing. And then there's people like you that come along, and why bother? Why should we bother playing when we have people like you around? And Ashkenazy goes, listen, I play because I have to. If I didn't play, I'd starve. You guys play because you love it. And that's even a better reason to keep playing music. So
that's good.
It was perfect. I said, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
If you could go back and give your younger self one piece of musical advice, what would it be?
Ooh. Oh, gosh. Musical advice. Wow, you got me there. I think share your music a lot more. I've always been very shy about playing in public, and people ask me to play and I'd run out of the room. It was something then, but when I got to college, I had to play in front of people. And I did get very good advice from peers and profs and other musicians that came to the school there about how to handle that sort of thing about playing in front of people. But you also have to remember that music is a gift. If you have it, and you love it, and you can actually play it or sing it or whatever, perform it, okay, share it, because there's a lot of other people that don't have that gift.
And wish they did. Yeah.
But love to hear it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So...
What qualities do you think are essential for a successful and fulfilling musical career?
Well, I think if I had the really good answer for that, I'd probably be more successful myself. But I think somebody, like, I kind of go back to your last question there, where you have to be willing to share, you have to be willing to put in the practice, you have to be willing to, play anywhere, anytime somebody asks you to play. Don't think any place is too small for you, or not worthy of your talents or whatever. So if somebody asks you to play at the outside the garage or the co-op or something like that, yes, Robin Harrison did that for them. He was a retired classical professor.
Yeah.
And he played for the co-op there one day, and I was going, good on you, buddy. Yeah. And he was after coming back from a tour in the United States.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. I'll always remember my wife and I were newly married. We were in Halifax, and John Allen Cameron at the time was pretty much on the peak of his career.
Yes.
And we heard that he was playing at a venue in Halifax, so we decided we'd go and see him. We were the only two people there.
Oh, my, yeah.
But he played for an hour and a half.
Yes.
For the two of us.
Yeah.
And it was wonderful.
Yeah. I had the same experience with Ashley McIsaac a couple of winters ago, where there was only about 10 of us that showed up. Well, it wasn't a very nice day, so there was nobody there. And so there he played. He played just as if their place was packed.
Yeah.
And then they all handed a CD out to each of us.
Really?
For nothing.
Yeah. Can you share a performance that stands out for you and its challenges, rewards?
Well, you brought up John Allen Cameron there, because I was living in Halifax, and John Morris Rankin from the Rankin family, he used to play with John Allen Cameron a lot, but he couldn't that day. So he called me up. And he said, "Would you mind playing with John Allen?" I said, "Would I mind?" "Oh, no problem, So he said, "Well, just go down to the hotel. They're having a convention down there, and they asked John Allen Cameron to play, and he needs a band. So they're having practices." And I got there with my keyboard, and the stage people took my keyboard and put it on the stage, and I walked into the practice with John Allen and all the other musicians. He goes, "Well, who are you?" And I told him, "Oh, okay, great, no problem. But where's your keyboard?" "Well," I said, "they took it on the stage." "Oh, well," I said, "Look, John Allen, I know all your music. We play it at home all the time and that sort of thing. And I'll just, and he handed me, I got a bunch of what they call sheets there to follow the music. I said, "I'm fine." So anyway, we got on stage and we were playing, and there was no problem. I didn't have to play for the first song. It was just him and his guitar and maybe the bass player or whatever playing. But then the whole band had to come in the next play, and I had to start the thing out, and they had left the music, the sound all the way up. They call it in the business being hot. The sound was way up, all the way up, and as soon as I hit that keyboard, the 500 gynecologists that were sitting out there jumped about 2 feet out of their chairs, and so did poor John Allen. And he just turned around to me and he mouthed to me, "Do not play." And I had to sit there for that song. And he came to me afterwards and he said, "What went on there?" I said, I think you know. He said, "I don't know." I said, "The sound was what I had no idea." And there was a button on the piano that said, "Do not touch this button." I said, "Well, okay." But anyway, but he forgave me.
How does it feel when you're on stage and connect with your audience?
Oh my, that's like talking to them, saying something to them, and getting getting a response of some sort, whether it's emotional or, I remember once playing at a concert in Inverness, and it was a classical piece I was playing. And I could see 2 women there, and the tears were just coming down their eyes. And I was saying, "Oh, I have to get back to my playing here." But that struck me, that struck me. And so you get, whether it's a happy one or a sad one, it's you're saying something to them, and hopefully what I was saying and when I was playing is what they got. And
yes,
I figure that's what they had. Yeah.
If you could perform with any musician, alive or dead, who would it be and why?
Well, in a funny way, I'd like to go back to John Allen and fix that piano problem. But I played with John Morris quite often, and he was always so generous when you played with him, like generous, like. What I mean by that is that he'd sit at the fiddle and he'd play, and he'd come out with a new tune that you never heard before, and his tunes were always kind of twisty. You'd have to really work to try to get it, and he'd work with you there,
Okay.
Or I'd play in a tune that he'd never heard before, and he'd sit down right beside me, and he'd try to pick it up. So somebody like that who was just so down to earth.
Yeah.
When in the music circle, even though everybody held him, in such great esteem. At the
sharing
time.
is sharing is a big thing.
Yeah.
Do you compose music or arrange music yourself?
I can arrange. I made a few tunes when I was younger, but no, I wouldn't class myself as a composer at all. No.
If your life were a piece of music, what would your mood or tempo be?
Well, right now I'm retired, so I'd call it, depends on the time of day, but if I put an average to it, I'd say moderato, which means just fairly easy. Just, I don't get excited about things now like I used to when I was working or whatever. Yeah. So it's It's not a allegro agitato or anyone like that, you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have your students ever taught you something unexpected?
Students teaching me, yeah. When you when you teach students, when you teach kids, a lot of people make the mistake, and fortunately I learned it earlier than later, was that they all have a different way of learning. And so when I first started teaching piano, I had my method. That's the way I taught. Mm-hmm. But after a while, I found out that students would learn different ways. And so if they wanted to learn by ear, okay, fine. But you still have to learn this, but we'll work by ear and that sort of thing. There's other things like they add something like that. And so you give them some rules about improvisation and that. And it's so... I'm glad I learned that, because if you had to teach us the same way all the time, it would get pretty boring. But now I get a student and it's, okay, how are we going to do this today? You always had to think about
a little more excitement getting into there.
Yeah, and like, you know.
For both of you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Before we wrap up, is there anything else you would like to add?
Oh, well, growing up in Margaree, you know, my first time playing my first regular gig was playing in church. I think I was 11, and I did it for the next 45 years. And it was there are a lot of people out there that give you the credit. You need that.
You need feedback.
You need feedback. You need that every once in a while. So if you think you hear something that you like, go up to the musician and tell them, you know, what was that? If you don't know what it was, ask them questions, you know, about the piece and that sort of. And like 99 out of 100 times, they'll be glad to talk to you about that sort of thing. You know, just give musicians their due when they perform something and it affects you either negatively, but especially when it affects you positively. Yeah. And just let them know that you really appreciate their work that they did there, because there was a lot of work behind it.
Thank you goes a long way.
Oh, I'm telling you. Yeah. Even a nice little compliment. Yeah.
And thank you for taking the time to come and tell us about your musical performance and teaching career. Mm-hmm. You're officially retired now, but I understand you still teach music privately.
Just I'm gradually
moving away
from that too. Okay. I have one student left, and I only took him on because he's my nephew.
Okay. And you teach at the Gaelic College as well?
Yeah, I'm going there next week.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's in St. Anne's.
Yes, that's a lot of fun.
Well, I wish you well in all your endeavors. And thanks to our listeners. Please remember to hit the like and subscribe button so you can stay up to date. And remember, subscribing to Highland Waves is free. Our thought for today is by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow, who said, "Music is the universal language of mankind." And now, Lawrence will take us home with a traditional Irish jig. Thank you. So long for now, Pat.